The Blake family dinners were always a showcase of accomplishment, stock prices, new acquisitions, awards lining the mahogany shelves. And yet, every time Angela walked into the grand dining room, she felt like she'd slipped into the wrong play, like someone had handed her the wrong script. She was the middle child, bookish, quiet, always the creative one, the one who didn't get the family email chain about joining Blake Tech straight out of college. While her older brother Nathan climbed the corporate ladder with their father, and her younger sister Elise dazzled with her marketing degrees and photo op smiles, Angela quietly pursued her degree in digital design, then UI/UX, then full stack coding. They called it a cute phase. Her father, Ronald Blake, a titan in tech and CEO of Blake Tech, always dismissed her efforts with a chuckle. Designing apps? That's not building a business, sweetheart, that's decorating it. Angela smiled back politely, sipping her wine at the far end of the table, saying nothing. What they didn't know was that Angela had been building something. A platform, a digital ecosystem for small independent creators to sell directly to clients' art, courses, ebooks, software tools. Clean, secure, elegant. It had started as a passion project in her dorm room. Now it had millions in passive traffic, and she hadn't told a soul, not even her best friend, Maya, who thought Angela was just freelancing for scraps. One evening, at Nathan's engagement party hosted in a glass penthouse overlooking the city, Angela stood near the balcony railing, her plain navy dress in sharp contrast to the glittering crowd. Elise breezed over with a champagne flute and a smirk. "Still doing your little blog thing?" Elise asked, not maliciously, but with the kind of disdain only siblings can perfect. Angela's lips twitched into a half smile. "Something like that." Elise leaned in conspiratorially. "Nathan says you turned down Dad's offer twice. I mean, you could have had a six-figure job just for showing up." "I wanted to build something of my own," Angela replied simply. Elise laughed. "You don't build, Angie. You create." "Dad builds." Angela turned to face the skyline, hiding the slow burn behind her calm. Her project, called Nova, had just closed a quiet series around 12 million. One of the lead investors, a subsidiary of a fund owned by Blake Tech, completely unaware that the founder and CEO they'd met via Zoom under the pseudonym A.B. Lennox was the same woman Elise had just mocked. Angela had learned the art of invisibility and used it as her greatest weapon. Angela wasn't supposed to be at the Blake Tech quarterly review. She wasn't on the roster, but Maya, her old college roommate turned investor liaison, had forwarded her the internal invite by accident or maybe fate. The meeting wasn't just about numbers. Ronald Blake was presenting a new initiative, Project Rain, a digital marketplace meant to revolutionize independent commerce. Angela's blood ran cold. Rain wasn't just similar to Nova, it was Nova, stripped of elegance, bloated with corporate jargon and a predatory monetization model. They were stealing her concept. Worse, they didn't even know it was hers. She kept her mic muted as the execs tossed around buzzwords. Nathan strutted through the presentation like a seasoned showman. "We'll dominate the creative economy. Artists, freelancers, online coaches, they'll all come to us," Maya messaged her privately. "This is garbage. It's your idea but gutted. Did you pitch it to someone from Blake?" Angela replied, "No, but one of the firms I rejected last quarter is a silent partner here. They must have lifted my deck." A ghost of a smirk touched her lips. She didn't panic. She planned. After the meeting, she didn't call lawyers. She called her CTO, Leah, and they activated Phase 2, a full UI revamp and the release of a long-teased AI feature Nova had been quietly developing, SmartSync, a proprietary tool that allowed creators to manage storefronts, contracts, and marketing from one sleek dashboard. Angela would not play defense. That weekend, her father hosted a private family brunch in their estate's glass atrium. White orchids spilled over every surface. Nathan and Elise were basking in praise. Ronald raised his mimosa. "To my legacy, both of you carrying the Blake name with power and vision." Angela stared at her eggs Benedict. He didn't even pretend she existed. Elise chimed in, "Dad, wait till you see my pitch next quarter. I've been working on a rebrand for Project Rain. We're going to make it sexy for startups." Everyone laughed. Angela's hands were steady, but her heart pounded like a war drum. She looked up and spoke clearly. "I've been building something too." The table went quiet. Ronald raised an eyebrow. "Oh, Nova? A platform that empowers independent creatives. Seamless, ethical, and profitable." Nathan smirked. You named it? That's cute. Angela smiled tightly. I built it. Elise waved a hand. So, like a design portfolio site. Angela reached into her bag and handed Ronald a sleek card black with a single silver star on the back. Nova Technologies Inc. CEO. AB. Lennox. He turned it over slowly. Angela leaned forward. You'll see me again, Dad. Just not as your daughter, as your competition. She stood, calm and poised, and walked out. Her heels didn't echo, they rang. Angela didn't return to the Blake estate after that brunch. No phone calls, no emails, no acknowledgement. If her father wanted to pretend she didn't exist, she'd give him a reason to remember. She wasn't just Angela Blake now. She was A.B. Lennox, the name listed on every Nova patent, every legal document, every investor ledger. In the following weeks, Nova exploded. SmartSync hit the market with quiet fury. Independent creators, small agencies, influencers, and freelance designers flocked to it like moths to moonlight. Overnight, reviews flooded in. It's like Shopify, Notion, and Calendly had a baby run by someone who actually gives a damn about creators. Replace 6 platforms with Nova, a godsend. Clean, transparent, and powerful. Angela stayed behind the scenes, letting Leah handle public interviews. Her face was still unknown to the business world. That was her edge. But the Blakes were watching. Her inbox pinged. An internal Blake Tech memo had leaked. Rain pivot required. Nova Technologies captured 18% of target segment in Q1. Executives. Baffled. She chuckled, sipping her green tea. Good. Let them scramble. One evening, she met with her core investors at a quiet rooftop bar in Midtown. The skyline behind her glittered like opportunity. We've had 3 acquisition offers in the past 2 weeks, Leah said, sliding a folder across the table. 2 from international conglomerates, 1 from Blake Tech, under a shell LLC. Angela raised an eyebrow. What did you tell them? Leah smirked. I asked them to define value without using the word money. They hung up, they toasted. But Angela wasn't in it for a buyout. This was personal. The next step? Publicity. Not a whisper campaign. A calculated storm. She reached out to Amara Chen, a journalist at Technoir Weekly, who had once interviewed her for a piece on rising women in stealth startups. Amara had loved Nova then. Now, she would love the reveal. Angela gave her everything: the pitch decks, the investor rejections, the stolen rain concept, the private brunch confrontation. Amara's eyes sparkled. You want to go public? Angela leaned back. No, I want them to beg for my silence and realize too late that I never needed theirs. 2 weeks later, the story dropped. The Ghost CEO. How one woman outsmarted Blake Tech with her bare hands. Subhead. She was written off by her billionaire father. Now she's rewriting the rules of digital power. Angela didn't read the article twice. She didn't have to. By morning, her inbox overflowed with press inquiries, job applicants, and speaking requests. Nova's site crashed from the surge, and then at 2:46 p.m., a text from her father, Ronald Blake. We need to talk. Angela stared at it for a long time, then she deleted it. Angela's silence was louder than 1,000 press conferences. After her story with Technoir Weekly went viral, Nova became the darling of Silicon Valley. But it wasn't just admiration that followed, it was fear. Established firms began holding emergency meetings. Marketing budgets were redirected. Think tanks popped up overnight to study her company's sudden success. Meanwhile, Blake Tech was in disarray. Internal Slack threads leaked showing executives panicking. Investors started questioning the board's judgment. A viral TikTok video compared Rain's dashboard to Nova's. It was brutal. Angela didn't gloat. She strategized. She held a silent war room with Leah, Amara, and 2 cybersecurity experts. Her legal team was already preparing a timeline of Blake Tech's infringement. She wasn't sure yet whether she wanted to sue, but it felt satisfying just knowing she could, and that this time, the courts would take her seriously. One Friday afternoon, as she stepped out of a private strategy meeting in Tribeca, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was her brother, Ryan. Ryan Blake. Angela. What are you doing? You're blowing up everything. Angela. Everything that needed to burn. She ignored the next 7 messages. Then came an unexpected invitation. The 30th anniversary gala of Blake Tech, set to be held at the Met. Red carpet, black tie, full press, family speeches, legacy presentations, and the cherry on top, Her name was on the guest list. Angela showed the invite to Leah. You're not actually going, are you? Leah asked. Angela looked at her calmly. Oh, I'm not just going. I'm taking the stage. Leah grinned slowly. They're not ready. The night of the gala, Alexandra wore midnight blue silk, tailored and sharp. A subtle diamond chain around her neck, one that once belonged to her mother, hidden in a box of old keepsakes. As she walked into the grand hall, whispers followed her like shadows. Is she the one from the article? Angela Blake? She's here. Her father saw her from across the room. His smile tightened, his glass lowered, but it was too late. Amara was already there, press pass in hand. So were several Nova executives, and Leah, radiant in velvet, smirking like a fox in a henhouse. The MC approached the podium. Tonight, as we celebrate 30 years of Blake Tech excellence, we have a surprise tribute from someone who has carried the Blake legacy in a very unexpected way. Gasps. Angela stepped into the spotlight. Cameras flashed. The room stilled. She looked directly at her father. You told me there was no seat for me at your table, she said, her voice calm, clear. So I built my own table, one that others have gathered around by choice, not bloodline. You erased my name from your business, but the world knows it now, and more importantly, it respects it. Silence, then murmurs, then applause, hesitant. At first, then rolling. Her father stood frozen. Angela smiled softly. Happy anniversary, Dad. You built an empire, and I've just started building mine. The day after the Blake Tech Gala, headlines exploded. Angela Blake stuns gala guests with live mic drop moment from DAZN. Daughter to industry titan Angela Blake is the future of tech. The Nova empire is just beginning. Angela didn't read them all. She was too busy. Two major venture funds reached out overnight, offering investment at a valuation 3x what Nova had last quarter. A popular international tech blog dubbed her the new oracle of innovation. Even a few companies who once backed Rain were now asking to license Nova's API. But more than anything, the Blake Tech board had finally called for an emergency vote. Angela sat in her penthouse office, overlooking Manhattan, when she received the email forwarded by a sympathetic former board member. Effective immediately, the board will be removing Arthur Blake from the role of CEO. An independent investigation has been ordered into possible IP theft, NDAs, and ethics violations. Angela blinked, then closed her laptop. No champagne? Leah teased from the couch, holding a folder of new partnership proposals. Angela shook her head. Not yet. I don't want to celebrate his fall. I want to focus on our rise. 2 months later, Angela returned to her childhood neighborhood for a local tech youth summit. The same community center where her dad had once given a speech now welcomed her with a giant banner. Angela Blake, building the future, one bold step at a time. She spoke to a room full of young dreamers, especially the girls, the outsiders, the underestimated ones. My father once told me that our name meant something, that I needed to protect the family's legacy, she said. But here's what I learned. Legacies aren't protected. They're rewritten. Applause thundered through the gym. She smiled. Afterward, as she walked to her black SUV, she noticed a familiar figure standing by the fence. Arthur Blake, older, thinner, defeated, but still proud. He gave a small nod. You made quite the empire. Angela nodded back. Yes, and I didn't have to steal it. He looked down. I was wrong. Angela didn't reply. She didn't need to. She got into her car, and as it pulled away, she took one last look at the street she grew up on, now far behind her. Epilogue. 3 years later, Nova went public. Angela Blake rang the opening bell on Wall Street in a black suit with cobalt blue lining her signature color. The company was now valued at $46 billion, with offices across 3 continents. Rain? Acquired. Dissolved. Forgotten. Her story became a case study at Harvard Business School. But Angela's proudest moment came quietly, when a young girl approached her at a bookstore and said, Miss Blake, I want to build something just like you. Angela bent down, smiled, and handed her a tiny metallic Nova pin. Then build it bigger.